This episode contains spoilers and swearing. Woo! Merry Christmas.
Welcome, everyone, to the Book of Noel. 'Tis the season to watch a load of terrible films, and we're guiding you to the absolute worst ones. Just so people know, I don't think last year everyone realized that this is both a podcast and a YouTube video. So after you've finished listening to this podcast, my advice would be to go and watch us on YouTube to see the many layers of comic value that you can have. Maybe watch it a few times on different devices. So my name is Joe Deeney, and I'm joined by three magi from the East. We have Sazzie Kluvitse playing Melchior, Lizzy Denning as Balthazar, and Conal Deeney as Kevin McAllister. So if you're going to watch along with us, then of course, this is the order of films we're going to be doing. We're going to start with Jingle All The Way. Then we've got Dolly Parton's Christmas on the Square, Santa with Muscles, Brooke Shields' Christmas, what's it called? Christmas in the Castle, A Christmas Detour, and then the new Lindsay Lohan Christmas film coming out on this, the 10th of November this year. So watch ahead if you want to know what the hell we're talking about, but we're so damn good at talking about these things, you don't even need to. This time we're reviewing Jingle All The Way. I'm sure you've seen it. I'm sure you hate it as much as we do. It's available to view on what I'm saying is we definitely... What?
Did you just Screwden it and Zoo?
Just Scrutins it and Zood.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed.
Nice.
Roodle-dee-doo and scroodle-dee-doo. Roodle-dee-doo. Sassy.
We could confirm that we definitely didn't watch it on a dodgy stream. No, that is illegal, and I hate injustice. So buy it on DVD, lads. So for a rundown of the plot, we're going over to the voice that launched 1,000 ships on Christmas Day. On Christmas Day, it's Sazzie with her Sazopsis.
Oh, this has opsis. Hello. So Jingle All The Way, aka All Men Are Awful and You Absolutely Shouldn't Trust Them. In 1996, smarmy Austrian salesman, inexplicably named Howard Langston, is your typical useless American dad. He's a workaholic, he's impeccably dressed, and despite unending prompting by the women in his life, he's unable to A, turn up to his kids' karate grading, or B, buy 2 Christmas presents. So it's Christmas Eve in Middle America, and having let down his superhero-obsessed son and Tom Hanks's smoke show wife, Heinrich discovers that he's forgotten to buy his son the toy of the year, a Turbo Man action figure. What follows is a series of madcap adventures and minor terroristic acts, including fighting kids in ball ponds, smashing up radio stations, and brawling with a troupe of bad Santas led by Jim Belushi. Helmut is beset at every turn by a shouting, stomping stereotype, Sinbad, playing postal worker Myron Larrabee, who is also a who is also a terrible father and potentially the world's worst postman. And while all of this is going on, Troy McClure is trying to get his end away with his wife. The moral of this film is that men are terrible and they should all be sent to the North Pole. Oh, and there's loads of weird jokes about Rodney King, Chinese people eating dogs, and like weird homophobic language. It's great. I loved it. I'm really happy to be here.
So as if that could be improved upon, but maybe it can. Let's go to Conal with his Conopsis.
Conopsis.
It's a classic Christmas tale of neglect, disorganization, and nepotism. A young Anakin Skywalker fucking loves Power Rangers so much that he watches other Japanese American trash TV and falls in love with Turbo Man instead. The last action hero is your typical high-flying, money kind of like, you're my best customer, you're my number one customer. He even says that to his wife. So that's the kind of guy he is. No time for even his own kids. No time even to see his own kid get a purple belt in a self-defense class. Now that's a mid-level belt. There is red, brown, and black above that, and even black has like 3 or 5 tiers or whatever. So, you know, I'm just saying the importance of this belt is pretty fucking low. He could be picking up belts every week for all we know. He might be quite good at it, and he's like jumping through the belts, and Arnie's like, fucking what? Again, I've got to go again. You know me Thursday nights are my own. I like to watch It Takes Two, Strictly Come Dancing. You know I like that. So yeah, his mother decides to use that as the yardstick to beat Arnie with, because bad dad and all that. So he don't make it to the Karate Kid bit, and then his kid's annoyed. So he's sorry about it. The Terminator dad, he's sorry about it, but not enough to apologize, and promises to get a Turbo Man doll instead. And his wife tells him that he said he'd do that weeks ago, and he's like, "Oh no!" So then Troy McClure next door, who's definitely trying to shag the Terminator's wife, tells him that it'll be impossible to get one now because it's Christmas Eve and it's popular toy, mate. So Terminator 2 starts an adventure on finding the hottest toy of this Christmas on Christmas Eve. But there's a shark in the water, and his name is Sinbad. And he wants a Turbo Man, yeah. He's going on a Turbo Man frenzy. There's blood in the water. Turbo Man blood in the water. He won't think twice about knocking your head off for a Turbo Man toy. And then it's the parade, yeah, which goes on for way too long. I saw that parade and thought, if this isn't 2 minutes long, I'm not going to be happy. And then I looked at the little time bar at the bottom and there was 20 minutes left. I thought, I can't take 20 minutes of a parade. I cannot take it. Anyway, the parade's there. Predator is inevitably going to get into some scrapes at a parade, isn't he? Yeah. He stumbles into becoming the actual Turbo Man, which is the kind of the best outcome because he doesn't have to spend out at the end because he gets given a toy to give to his kid. And even then, the kid doesn't even really want it. He's like, we'll just keep the suit. Dad's all right at this. Dad's pretty good commando. And then little scuffle with Sinbad at the end. Resolved, dumped by his wife, present. Shitty man, really. I think Sazzie summed it up better with just all men are awful because that's what happens in this film. Following like 4 or 5 men and they're all bad at it.
All terrible. Just horrible specimens of your gender. I'm very sorry. This shouldn't be how you're represented.
Not all men, Sazzie.
Not all men. Hashtag not all men.
Listen, it was not my fault. Jamie.
Lizzy, we've had 2 versions of the plot and we've seen the film. Do you have a clue what's going on?
I mean, so I was thinking about this. You know how in the 80s, lots of family films, the jeopardy was always kind of real estate based. It was like, oh, the old whatever place is going to be turned into a faceless factory and we've got to save it or whatever. Or like Casper's all about them having a creepy old house full of ghosts but not wanting that ripped down for some reason. I think maybe the 90s was a bit about dads. Are they okay? Like there's a lot of like Mrs. Doubtfire type films or Liar Liar or this one where it's kind of like, yeah, dads are just not doing so good. I'm not sure whose side it comes down on, whether the moral is, yeah, dads are just a bit shit and maybe it would be better if mom left them, or whether it's a bit more like, oh, they're trying their best. It's really hard to have a job and also care about your children. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what I'm meant to feel about all of these dads. I guess it depends how charismatic the actor is, because obviously Robin Williams I'm more invested in than Arnie. I'm sorry. But yeah. I think maybe that was kind of an overriding.
Hashtag Fathers for Justice.
Wait, hang on a minute. Fathers for Justice, superhero man, bad dad, spectacle in public. Is Jingle All The Way where Fathers for Justice began? Is this what we've just found out?
Dresses up as Batman and goes on the town hall.
Exactly.
This is the day you're meant to have him, Steve. What?
I'm busy crying about up here.
Jamie! He knows my name.
I like in the beginning scene, the kid says, Dad's not going to make it. And then Mum says, he's going to make it. And then we cut to a wild office party. And I thought for a second, right, this is a great angle. But instead, it's some boring, like, burning the candle at both ends, midnight oil, like, just work hard, boring jobs worth. when
Yeah.
I thought it'd be much more interesting if he's not going to make it because he's doing gack in the toilets with Stuart from the Exeter branch and it's jingle jangle all the way. Oh.
I think that would have worked if, Arnie was a charismatic actor and was able to pull it back. But I don't think he's particularly charismatic in this film anyway.
Well, I'm glad you had to stop and think about it.
And I also don't think, because I made a note earlier that, he punches a reindeer. He sets fire to the only black wise man.
No.
He bombs a radio station.
Gentlemen, you've been duped. This is nothing but a harmless Christmas package.
He beats up a little baby in a ball pond. There's nowhere in which he's the hero. And I think he'd have been a hero to us if he was in the news doing a bunch of Charlie and telling stories about that one time when he was hanging out with, when he was hanging out in the Old Blue Last with the singer from the Horrors. Like, that's a hero to us. But to 1996 American children, I don't know. I think maybe they're trying to be like, he really cares about his family, but he's a liar.
Yeah. I mean, he's not. You're right. He's not a good actor.
No.
It's almost as if he's trained to be a bodybuilder.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And
Who would have thought it?
An actor. Yeah,
What a weird thing to say, Joe.
He's quite I know he's quite a kind of cliche thing to say about him. But
have you seen Hercules in Manhattan? Have you?
Well, that's it. With this film, it's like he's meant to be this kind of everyman, I suppose. He's running around. We've all had the Christmas Eve panic of, oh my God, I haven't got that person a present.
No, I've literally never had that.
Never, not in my life.
Well, for the purposes of this conversation, can you two, on your fucking high horses, just for a second, empathise? It's a wedding, oh, I'm pregnant. Pathetic. Right. So we've all had the pre-Christmas. Instead of having your kind of empathetic, like Tom Hanks, maybe, I don't know, the lead woman's husband in real life. We've got the closest human beings have ever looked to Hercules in the lead role. He's not. I don't connect with him unless he's smearing cold mud all over his body. I don't know what he's bringing to a narrative.
You have no chemistry with anyone, resolutely, with the little boy, not even with the reindeer puppet, nothing.
Not even with the reindeer puppet.
I mean, the closest connection he makes is an uppercut to the jaw. Spoilers.
He does spark out a reindeer.
It's awful. And then he gives it beer after. It's hot.
Because apparently it's filmed in Minneapolis, isn't it? And that beer that he's pouring in is a Minneapolitan beer, quite a famous local beer. And the kind of natives to the place are like, oh, great. He's giving it to a deer. It's not like he's sharing one with his mate. He's giving it to an animal. Oh, there's nothing else I can give you. How about there's a tap over there full of water, mate? No, there's a beer. Lunatic.
It's because the reindeer is his favourite customer. His number one customer, sorry. Number one customer.
My number one customer.
Obviously, this is a film about capitalism, and his room is so swish. I'm like, wow, this dad has fucked up a lot. He's got a mural of his action figure on the wall. I was like, what did you do? What did you miss?
And that was Captain America, which made me think they couldn't get the rights to Captain America with the film.
I like how Arnie should, in that scene, he should definitely be apologising to the kid instantly. He should walk through the room and go, I'm really sorry I missed your thing. How can I make it up to you? But no, he don't bother with that. He does that thing that a lot of blokes do where they can't apologise and they'll do anything else to get out of it. And he's just prattling around like, oh, is this your karate belt? Stick that on my head. Look at me, I'm Arnie and I a dickhead. Yes, you are a dickhead, but I'd rather you just said sorry and stop prattling about in my room.
There's that scene where they're all at the toy shop before hours and the doors are locked and they're kind of Jobsworth manager's giving it 3 minutes until then. What do you mean? They get in and says, "Have you got Turbo Man?" And he goes, he laughs his head off.
Do you have any more in the back? What?
Then he goes, "This guy's asking for a Turbo Man," and he laughs his head off as well. And he gets them all. He's got kind of blood boiling. Like, "Oh, that's not always at all. That's not Christmas spirit." When was the last one sold? And they both go, "A woman just left with it." Well,
What are you laughing at me
Then
for?
why
then?
laughing?
That's
Yeah.
stocking 10 minutes ago. So what's the joke?
And how'd she wangled that? Because the shop was shut then.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
You weren't letting me in, so you're discriminating. All us people who were waiting at that door were locked out until some posh woman got hers on reserve. You're having a laugh.
I do feel like the Turbo Man design was thrown together quite quickly. And I hate to be cynical, hate it. But it did occur to me that I'm pretty sure 1995 was Toy Story. And that's the first time I'm sure it was a thing before, but it was definitely the first toy I really remember like people going crazy for was the Buzz Lightyear toy, which is obviously like not a real toy. It's a toy from a film about being a craze of a toy. So I was a bit like, did they just very quickly go, I wonder if we can just do this lots and like create a toy and tell everyone it's the new craze and then actually sell it. But I don't remember Turbo Men setting the world's Christmas alight.
That's a wicked whisper there, Denning. Yeah.
I've gone full conspiracy theory this season.
I know. Get that with your QAnon,
What do you
mate.
think?
So Sinbad does mace Arnie in the face, doesn't he?
Yes.
He maces him right square. But what I thought was troubling about that is Arnie knocks that, or rather Howard Langston, we'll get to that name in a minute, he bats that aside like it doesn't even matter. He's built up an immunity. What's he done in the past, this guy?
What did he do to get that mural commissioned? In line at the mural store, ready to kick off.
Because he does get tasered in the taint by Mini-Me later on. And he walks that off as well. So
when I put it on, the first thing I noticed was the titles are coming up and it says starring Sinbad in big letters. I'm like, fuck, I've never seen that before. I've never seen Sinbad's name in lights like that. I was mesmerized. And no one talks about this. Sinbad is bigger than Arnie in that film. He might not be musclier, but he's definitely bigger. He's got a bigger frame.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Like he's Mr. Olympus or whatever he was. And I'm just Sinbad. I'm your everyday postman. And look at me. I'm fucking massive. Good on you, Sinbad. Keep at it.
I did find the narrative quite uncomfortable of their differing fates based on equally horrible behavior. I was a bit like, one of you is lauded as some kind of hero, as if he's learnt something which he hasn't. And anyway, that's not how law works. You can't just learn a lesson and forget all that stuff I just did. And one of them's like dragged away in handcuffs, and like presumably his kid is not going to have a great Christmas now. And I don't know, it's just a bit like flippant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe Sinbad's kid, because at the end, Anakin Skywalker says, I don't need the doll because my dad is Turbo Man. Maybe Sinbad's kid went, I do need the doll because my dad is Sinbad. Which, yeah.
So
And
what
there
you're
is-
saying, because Quentin Tarantino didn't make a sequel to Kill Bill where Uma Thurman's daughter and Vivica A. Fox's daughter meet up and like rekindle their mum's epic battle for supremacy, we need to make Jingle All The Way 3 where Arnie's kid and Sinbad's kid come along and fight for, I don't know, what is it? You guys have got kids. What do kids like?
Turbo Man.
Attention.
I mean, definitely. But toy-wise, like, is there a big toy that the kids all are desperate for?
It's
this
usually
year?
my stuff that mine play with. It's really annoying. Put the laptop down.
There's so many times in this film when the extras, like Arnie does something crazy, like goes, no, my cookies. And all the extras all around him go, huh?
Now!
Because it's Arnie doing it, it doesn't feel like they're going, what's that craziness over there? It's like they're going, is that Conan the Barbarian?
Yeah. Why is he
Like,
in
I
slacks?
Why is he wearing driving gloves?
Why is he smaller than
looks like-
Sinbad? I thought Sinbad would be smaller. It's just...
He wears lifts in his shoes, Arnie.
Does
Does
he?
Yeah, because his
Oh.
build is 6'2", but he's 5'10". I'm taller than Arnie.
Lifts. Like very chunky lifts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like
High heels.
they're like Spice Girls trainers.
I did think about the Spice Girls a lot, even more than I normally do during
I
this.
was about to say.
I was thinking about the Spice Girl dolls and how I don't have one, and that makes me sad. And maybe my dad should dress up as
There's Mel B in a parade. I think it's pretty unfair on Postmen, this film, because Sinbad says a lot. I'm a loser with no future. Postman's a fine profession. So are
Yeah.
an old mattress salesman or whatever the fuck is in this film. Is it a mattress salesman?
Yeah, I think he's a mattress
Oh,
salesman.
right. American
I mean,
dream right there. Has
I
it
think
got a
the
union?
context-
Oh, I'm a union smasher.
I think the context is in America, like there was that spate of like postmen going postal, which is where that phrase came
Son of
from.
Sam and all
So
that,
I
yeah.
reckon it's that, not even that, just shooting up the place, falling down style, sending out anthrax, all that kind of like. It's a really difficult job and was really underpaid, and I think that's what they're playing off of on Sinbad, that he's like the stereotypical crazy postman.
Yeah.
It's very lazy.
Yeah.
And
He does bomb a radio station.
I mean,
just
not on
goes-
purpose though, but yeah, he did.
Kind of is on purpose though, isn't it? When you stop and have a little think, because at the end he like brushes it under the carpet. He's going, "Oh, there's some sick people in the world." Yeah, you did it. You put the package in front of them and you went, "Yeah, it's a bomb." And then just because you didn't know that it was an actual bomb doesn't mean you're off
Yeah.
the hook, son. You still did it. It's still your bomb and you did it. Prick.
And there's no way when the bomb goes off in the policeman's face. And then
Yeah.
afterwards, it's just that kind of wah wah, kind of soot all over him, and his
Yeah.
hair's all crazy. No, he would be just a pair of arms holding that box, and the
Yeah.
rest is
It'd be dripping
gone.
off the ceiling.
My question with this film was, where are all the women? Like, because there's the wife.
There's a secretary.
I'll tell you where all the women are. They're all going near Troy McClure's character because he's a fine
They
magnet,
couldn't
isn't he?
stay away from him, could
He
they? It's like
cannot-
Don Juan.
You're an amazing man, Ted. I wish every husband were more like you.
He knows what he's after, and it's women. And boy, does he know how to get them. He's getting them all. All that village. He's like, hang on a minute. All the dads are at work. This is fantastic for me.
There's
I
not a
love
dry
having
seat
sex
in
with
the
other
house.
people's wives.
He's got some pheromone spray. hasn't he, I think?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is a dreadful film. This, like, I think it's actually got a rotten heart. This film. The other ones we've done are kind of the crap, but it's about romance, or this is about capitalism will make my son happy. But I tell you what, all that aside, Phil Hartman as Ted next door is a brilliant comic performance.
Now bring us some figgy pudding. Now bring us some figgy pudding. Now bring us some figgy pudding.
He is
Yeah.
really good. I'm of the mindset that you can never do too much to make a child's Christmas magical.
His voice is ace, isn't it?
It's
He's
brilliant.
a genius. That just shows that the script's not that good, but he makes it brilliant because he was so good. A very sad end, but yeah, I thought he was peerless in that film. There was all the other piss, and then him, and then all the other piss.
And it's
I mean,
confusing
it's
as well because it's Troy McClure, but it's Ned Flanders. It's my mind can't cope with that. But yeah.
Yeah. And Lionel Hutz, let's not forget, my favorite Simpsons character.
and
love
Zach
that guy.
Brannigan from Futurama. But I mean, it
Oh,
says that the film, it shows you how awful that the film actually is when you're looking forward to seeing the creepy
Yeah.
like creepy neighbor trying to like make innuendos about eating as I said, Heinrich Landerman's wife's cookies and all the like awful stuff that he says and
Yeah.
does, but you're like, yeah,
He's
go
so
on, Ted
good.
the neighbor. Or when his kid goes, I've named him Ted after my dad. I'm like, awful but brilliant. I'm
So
delighted.
great. Oh, I love her Christmas cookies.
Oh God!
Look at you. It's Christmas Eve and you're slaving over a hot stove. Is this the mom of the year or what?
It's no big deal, really.
And modest, too.
There's some bits that are like left to you. It's so obvious that you should just assume it. Like, Ted says to him, "You can't bench press your way out of this one."
Great
First
line.
time we've ever mentioned going to the gym or working out in any way.
He wears turtlenecks
And he's covered
the
his
whole
muscles
time.
up for the entire film.
Yeah.
Like, how am I meant to know that he's a beefcake other than that I've seen Terminator?
He's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, that's all. That's what that's doing.
We're all slugging off Howard Langston here, but he is a bloody good mattress salesman, okay? He works hard
the
in
king
that
of it.
factory. He doesn't even go for cocaine with Stuart. What?
So sincere and charming. Like if someone said to me, "You are my number one customer," I would really feel that in my core.
And you're happy with me calling you on Christmas Eve, yeah?
You're my number one customer.
You're talking of Arnie being Arnie. My favourite bit of the entire film is right at the end. He's as Turbo Man, and he's in front of his wife and his kid, and there's just like a Shakespeare moment where he's going, "Well, yes, you must be the luckiest boy in the world." He's going, "Oh, I just wish Dad was here." It might have worked with anyone in the world except for fucking, "Your father loves you." He's Scooby-Doo.
I know that there's like a slight voice distortion on the microphone, but that was the whole way through. I was like, do you not know it? Jamie, do you not know how your dad says your name? Like,
I think maybe the kid's not very bright because there's another bit where he says to the wife, "I am going to see about the DOLL." His son's like 8. It's so dull. Like
It's like that.
terrible.
I can hear.
Does Arnie lip sync every single line that he does? So he'll say it in the film and then record it again later because he's every time I look at him, he's like not matched up properly. Like, I don't know. You can't do it. You can't do it live, can you? It's impossible. That was kind of it, wasn't it? Nearly it. Very visual thing. Very visual joke, that, for me.
I think he's a real generational thing as well, because like my husband is slightly older than me and saw all of the great Arnie films. So like his childhood memory of Arnie is like him being brilliant. Whereas I've only recently seen like Terminator and Predator and things like that. My memories are like this and Twins and Kindergarten Cop. And I'm just like,
Junior.
well, how is this guy? And Mr. Freeze, which is like the highest paid cameo ever. And it's dreadful. It's a real career of two halves, isn't it?
Yeah. Quite. Well, I suppose that they cast him correctly before, but he was just so phenomenally cast as your Marine or a commando or a robot. But he was so good at that. And he was. Terminators 1 and 2, Predator's fantastic.
Yeah, they're really
Such
good.
a great film. He was so successful, he could ask for what I want to do family role now. And he'll get it because he's bums on seats just because it's Arnie. People, dickheads, will go, "Well, it's Arnie. Well, it's Arnie. I'll go see that." And they did.
I mean, I've just looked it up. It made 129.8 million US dollars in the box office.
How
Isn't
much
that
it cost?
insane?
I feel like
That's it.
a lot. It looks expensive. I mean, terrible, but it does look dollar.
It's definitely expensive for sure. Like, no question. But it is terrible.
Really bad.
I guess, do you know what we haven't even talked about? Jim Belushi's Bad Santa.
For every little boy who opens a present Christmas morning and finds clothes instead of toys.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
The whole scene. I feel like the scene was just conceived separately to the film by someone who was like, "I would love to see this."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's shoot it.
And there's a musical number.
Barbershop
and then-
quartet, yeah.
Yeah. And then an even bigger Santa. Do you
Yeah,
think the
Big
giant
Show, man.
Santa
Like the Big
was...
Show.
The Big
Was
Show.
that who that was?
Well, it's the Big Show.
Big Bad Show tonight. Yeah.
Fantastic. Best bit for me. Really
Roles
liked it.
Paul White, aka The Big Show. Roles include wrestling, Jingle All The Way, with that kind of the cartel bit of the cartel of Santa Clauses.
Yeah.
It was a funny one because is that crime syndicate just in operation for Christmas time? The guys, end of October, you ready for our 6 weeks of criminal activity? And then we go back to our 9-to-5 jobs. It's a funny one. Like they haven't done the background work on their characters, I'm afraid.
Well, I will object to that. Having grown up in London, spent a lot of Christmas on Oxford Street and seeing guys selling obviously booky stuff out of shop windows. Anybody who's my age or older will remember a man with a microphone going, Giorgio Armani, £20. Put your hands up. Like just standing there selling.
Two things to say about that. One, was still
goods.
there. Secondly, I did resent that northern accent you did then, Sazzie.
Oh, put your hands up, you dirty
Put your
bastard.
hands up, will you? All right. Giorgio Armani, don't worry how it's spelt.
Can't sell it round our way. Can I just rewind this a second?
Yeah, go on, please.
We've skirted over The Big Show too quickly, but that was some of the best action comedy I've ever seen, where he punches that little person and he flies like a torpedo through the room. Oh, it's fan-fucking-tastic. I don't know what you were watching.
I did
It
quite
was
like when Arnie
amazing.
smacks John Belushi's talentless brother, and he kind of goes, he falls down, then falls back up,
on his head, like
spins on his head, and then twats his head against it, and then you don't see him again. Is he dead? Because he makes a proper.
And he's knocked out by hitting the pole. Whap! And before he falls to the floor, he says, "Get him." You don't see that in boxing where they speak before they fall down. When you're knocked out, you're knocked out, aren't you? But not in this film. They twist it a little bit, and it's nice to see.
I just didn't take in any of that scene because in the background, you're going to have to do a little clip now to show it because it will look like I'm mad otherwise. But they've got all these horrible, really cheap funfair pandas hanging by the neck. Like they've got like these nooses and they're just sort of in every shot.
Politically, it's a really interesting film because that first time you meet Sinbad when he's ranting outside the toy shop, you know, given a real accurate assessment of late stage capitalism, brilliant. Every policeman in this film is a moron. And the policeman's union is obviously, I mean, what is that? The policeman got blown up by a bomb, and then they just sent him to work with his hands bandaged. Thank God that in 1996, clearly the power of the police union had been shattered.
Police don't have healthcare.
No.
He gets bombed, doesn't he? But then what stops him is running into a bus. Is that what stops him? He's just like, oh, I've run into a bus now and we never see him again.
Do you know what? When he said, when Arnie says at the end, I'm sorry about the bus, I was like, what bus? What did I miss?
Not your fault, Arnie.
I don't know what happened. But
how come he finds it so easy to apologise to the police, but when it's his child, he's not asked?
Right? He should talk to his therapist. His number
all
one.
men are terrible in this film.
Except for Phil Hartman.
Sorry, officer. Sorry. I'm really sorry about everything. Even apologising for someone else parking a bus somewhere. Not your fault.
And then Arnie manages to confuse the policeman with a toy police badge and pretends to be an undercover policeman. Like, this film has got ACAB written through it like a stick of rock, which I appreciate. And I guess not a stick of rock, maybe like a candy cane because it's Christmas. And I appreciate that. But but it's still absolutely terrible. And I'm furious you've made me do this, Joe.
I'm delighted because he says when he's got the police badge,
This must be the sloppiest bust I've ever seen in my entire career on the force. Detective Howard Lang, undercover.
But they've arrested everyone. It's a success. All you have to do is they're all being
they've done a
arrested.
raid and they've arrested everyone. Nobody's escaped.
No one's been shot.
Belushi.
No one's had a bomb go off in their face, for starters.
J.K. Rowling's stolen a bit out of this film. Did you notice that? The main bad guy's called a Dementor.
Oh yeah.
J.K. Rowling's been dining out on that for years. She loves. Do you remember that amazing film we watched in '96? No, there were no good films then. No, there was Jingle All The Way. They had that amazing character at the end with a big brain. It looked really mental. Oh yeah, what were he called? He was called Dementor. Yeah. I'm going to use that name. Oh, don't, JK. Don't,
First book
Joe.
was out the year after.
She nicked it. Wholesale nicked.
Every week I hear something more terrible about Joanne Rowling.
Yeah, that's
Never
the
ends.
worst thing she's
The
done.
worst thing I've ever heard about her.
I like
And
it.
yes,
This film is a bit like The Holiday in that it doesn't resolve its central problem. The problem is not resolved. The family are as a unit, but he doesn't say, I'm going to cut my hours at work now. I'm going to work a little less. I'm going to delegate to someone else. It's just, well, we're here now. That's the thing. Philanderers are lovely when they come back during the week. It's at the weekend that they're off out shagging. That's the problem. The problem is not them coming back. It's them being away. And Arnie is still the manager of a mattress company or something. So what's the point in any of this?
After he's given him the doll and he's gone, Dad's good enough for me. He's enough. Arnie's then taking him to one side and goes, I hope this little adventure has bought me some time off of the karate thing because I'm not down with it. Yeah, I like karate, sure, but I like black belt karate. And furthermore, come back to me when you've got an Olympic sport under your belt. Yeah, judo, take up judo. It's very similar, but there's gold medals in it, and that's what I'm here for. I don't want to piss around with belts. I'll buy you a belt. They're only a tenner.
He won't find the belt though. He'll go on some insane adventure and there'll be no belt at the end. He's unreliable.
How's about you're a yellow belt? I'll just buy you a black belt now and save everyone the hassle. Yeah. And you don't even have to do any of it. You don't even have to practice. How does that sound? You can just piss around with a black belt and I'll tell everyone you're a black belt. And then if you can't do the moves properly, no one really knows. No one knows what a black belt looks like, do they? No one knows what someone doing black belt moves looks like. You just hear about it. You're like, oh, yeah, he's a black belt. That's fantastic. You never see anyone going, I'm a black belt. Watch me be black belt. No one's ever shown off their black belt skills. It's just like, it's just a bit of clothes, isn't it?
I would just say, I'm a woman and yeah, if they've got a black belt, they're going to tell you and show you about their black belt.
Oh, it's like that, is it? It's a
it is. Yeah, it is.
Come to bed moves.
I mean, you know everything. You know, men. Everything you do is for the ladies.
I've seen Joe with his guitar.
I wasn't going to say it.
Yo, go get your mandolin. She's desperate here. Look, she really wants to hear it.
Oh no!
Play Wonderwall, Joe.
So you're studying that course. That's cool. Yeah. Fucking hell, you got me then. Oh, well. Fucking works though.
How do you think Mick Hucknall's been shagging all them women all these years?
Really hated that the last line, the joke was that, oh, he's also a terrible husband. Like, I was just like, I don't find that funny.
It's not funny.
I like it was then in the film that you decided you didn't find it funny. After an hour and a half of that piss.
Oh, I'd been weeping with mirth.
Well, I suppose Phil Hartman's not in that bit, is he? So
It's not.
Why is it called Jingle All The Way?
No reason. 'Cause it's in a song. It might as well be called Tonight, Thank God It's Them instead of You. You know, it makes much sense.
My only other point is that, and I'm ashamed to admit this, so I don't know if I want this included, to be honest, but I realised how conditioned by the patriarchy I've been that I had a moment where I was like, but why has the wife asked him to get the toy? Because he's clearly not going to do it. And that is going to only hurt her and her son. And then I was like, God, Lizzy, that's victim blaming. You can't.
I was surprised that at the end she didn't just have one anyway and she was teaching him a lesson. Like, I know you're shite. I knew you were going to drop the ball. I did it anyway and I wanted you to run around on Christmas Eve like a blue-ass fly chasing something that's impossible. And fuck you, Arnie. Fuck you right off. I'm shagging Tron.
And here's my present to you. Divorce papers. Let's go, Ted.
You three are really savvy with Christmas narrative. Divorce papers and fucking teaching people a lesson. I'm not sure it's Jingle All The Way's job to smash the patriarchy.
It's everybody's job to smash the fucking patriarchy.
Arnie can smash a lot of things with his fists.
Apart from reindeers.
Especially reindeer.
Well, yeah, he does punch the reindeer, doesn't he? But he's scared of it at first, and I don't know.
I
What
know all
he's scared
their names, but that's why I punched them.
of. I don't know why you were even scared because, as it proved to be,
Worse. Oh, Jeffrey, no, that's not.
it proved to be a typical reindeer that can't figure out a simple pocket door. What an idiot!
And also, does this town not have a big Tesco or an Argos? Like, what the hell? Honestly, it makes no sense. Just all these
Imagine
tiny
that
little...
film where Arnold Schwarzenegger's using a tiny little pen and he's got a ticket. and
He's got massive hands. Massive hands, gym hands as well, and they're all calloused and horrible. And he's like got that little
big catalogue. Oh, why are there so many shit watches?
Oh, here's Elizabeth Duke.
Or if they filmed it now and he just got his phone out and that's all he did, he did a quick Google closest action figures near me, and it just showed him exactly where to go, and he drove there and got it straight off.
Made friends with a postman in the Argo.
Bought one on Gumtree, like you couldn't get it. I mean, it would obviously
he
be
too kind
booky,
to that
but
kid
still.
next door. I'd have had that if the opportunity had have arisen and it were there, and I'm like, it's there. I'd just go, yeah, I'll have that. I'll make up for it later.
But that's the redemptive moment. That's where you know, despite the fact that he set fire to the guy's house and smashed a magi through the window and then punched a reindeer.
Yeah.
That's the moment that you realise that Helmut Lang is a really good man.
Yeah, I'm stealing our kids again.
I really like. What are you going to do with the reindeer when it's gone? Well, there's a group of deer down by the lake, and I think hopefully it'll become one of them.
That was my favourite bit.
Meaning murder. Absolute genius.
Oh man! And the thing is, I could just hear Lionel Hutz coming through his voice.
Yeah.
He's been annoyed at me ever since I accidentally ran over his dog, or replaced the word accidentally with repeatedly and dog with son.
So basically, the conclusion that we're coming to is The Simpsons was well good.
Yeah. In 1996, it was unbeatable. Thank you very much for that, everyone. Please join us for the other 5 we've got coming your way. We've are on YouTube and podcasts. Remember, a jolly good Christmas time, have by all. Say thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, that's brilliant. And yeah, and just remember. Merry Christmas, babe.